Welcome back. Today, let's have fun learning vocabulary, advanced vocabulary to be specific. We're going to learn the root COGN, which means to know and to learn through etymology. And we're going to see what all of that means shortly. Before which, hi, I am Ajeeth from Capshine. Capshine is a revolutionary learn it together English fluency program. And through Capshine, learning English is easy, quick, fun, affordable, and effective. And we promise a whole new you in 6 months or less. So, what is etymology? Well, the word itself splits into two words, and that's sort of what etymology is. It's essentially the study of the origin or the roots of a word. Let's, for instance, take this word, incredible. I'm sure all of you know what this means. If I split it up, there are actually 3 parts to it, right? There's the prefix, the base, and the suffix. Each of these have a meaning, and these can actually be used in different words to change the meaning of the word differently. So in here means not, cred means believe, and able means, well, able. So if something is credible, it's believable. If something is incredible, it's unbelievable. On the other hand, if something is credulous or someone is credulous, then they believe something or anything at all, right? They're very naive. And incredulous, they do not believe anything at all, right? So similarly, the meaning gets passed on through many other words that uses the same roots. Let's look specifically about the root that relates to knowing or learning, which is COGN, right? Let's see what words have this and how the meanings change. So the first word is recognize, and I think all of you will recognize this word. Again, has the root COGN. Recognize essentially means to remember something, to look at something and say, hey, I know this, right? For instance, I didn't think I sounded anything like myself, but the boys recognized my voice at once. So they remembered, right? And understood that it is something from the past, to recognize something. Has the root COGN. Let's move on to another one, something slightly more complex. Cognition. So this you might have used when in context of, let's say, recruitment or psychology or even biology, right? Cognition is the ability to think and learn. The ability to think and learn is cognition. For instance, perhaps the most common and the most important forms of rapid cognition are the judgments we make and the impressions we form of other people. So the ability to learn and think, that itself, that ability is cognition. Moving to a slightly more complex word, cognizant, right? You might have heard of a company with this name, but the word itself is, well, it has the root cog, which means to know. If you're cognizant of something, you're aware of something, you're knowledgeable of something, right? For instance, in the book, she makes a point of reflecting on her mistakes, but is cognizant of the pressures and expectations that others put on her. So she's aware of those pressures. She is knowing of it. So to be aware, to be intellectually aware of something, right, is to be cognizant. On the other hand, is the word incognizant. The root in this case means not, right? So incognizant is to be unaware. You have no clue about something. You're not aware of something. You have no knowledge that it exists. So of those around him, it was quite clear that he was altogether incognizant, maybe of a specific thing. So completely lacking awareness is incognizant. Speaking of being incognizant, do not be incognizant of ways in which you can become a much more powerful speaker. What you want to do is check out the 30-day free trial with Capshine, where you get speaking opportunities, you get to learn and practice as a group, you get monthly fluency reports driven by your personal coach and customized feedback provided. And all of this is bolstered by daily micro lessons and live classes that help you build your foundation and help you become a more confident and powerful user of the English language. Do check it out. Let's continue our discussion, shall we? Precognition. So we saw cognition, we saw recognize, and we also saw incognizant. Precognition. Pre means before. What do you think precognition means? Well, if your guess is that you have an awareness of what is going to happen in the future, you're absolutely right. You showed precognition, right? So precognition is the ability to look into the future, to be aware of or have knowledge of something that's going to happen in the future. It's sort of like ESP, right? Like telepathy or whatever, right? The ability to look into the future. The evidence for precognition again was from the first scantier and has advanced to a slow rate, suggesting that there is really no evidence of this skill being a thing. So precognition, if you know someone who is able to, has that uncanny ability to look into the future and predict what's going to happen before they happen, then you could call that quality precognition, right? Here's another word, incognito. You might have seen this in your web browser, right? Incognito mode. What does that mean? Well, it means that you're going in a way that you are not recognizable, so that the other sites cannot recognize you. If you go incognito to a party, what that means is that you're going in disguise so that other people cannot recognize you. So that means not recognize. That's what it means, to be unrecognizable because you've disguised yourself. Incognito. She did not act for decades, turned down roles, traveled incognito, and seemed more shaken by fame. So traveled incognito, meaning that she traveled in a way that people couldn't recognize her. Probably wore a hoodie, tried to mask herself, wore a wig, whatever, right? So that she took efforts to make sure people couldn't recognize who she actually was. Incognito. And reconnaissance. Usually used in military or strategy kind of situations. It's also called to recon, right? If you've played military games, you probably heard this word, recon, or even recce or reco. All these are different slangs used for the same word, reconnaissance. This has the root cong in a slightly different form. What this means is that to scout out and find information about things outside of where you are, right? To do a survey and a search, to understand, to learn about things outside is reconnaissance. Do a thorough reconnaissance and report in. Do not attempt a retrieval. Is that understood? So reconnaissance is just basic data collection to learn about your surroundings and what's going on, where are the enemy camps and whatnot. Reconnaissance. Let's look at another one. This is a bigger word. It's called, cognizant, spelled differently depending on the region, but it's both fine. This relates to a person, right? Again, it has the root cogn, which means know. So this relates to a person who is off the know. Have you ever met someone who has insane knowledge about something specific, something that normal people don't have understanding about? Maybe they have insane knowledge about specific wines or kind of foods, or maybe a field, right? Maybe about rocks or metals. And they have extremely high levels of expertise in this, even if they may not be working in that field. These people can be called cognizantes. Why? Because they are off the know. An example of this. For the past 35 years, I have been focused singularly on becoming a cognoscente, on knowing everything possible about the classical arts, Monday said, right? So a person said, suggesting that someone devoted their entire lives to becoming an expert on classical arts, and that makes them a cognoscente, someone who is off the know, someone who has extreme expertise and knowledge in something, because they've devoted themselves to it. Similar to this is the word connoisseur. A connoisseur, again, has the root cong, which means to know. A connoisseur is someone who is a very sharp judge or a very wise judge of things that are not very well known. Again, relates to art, relates maybe to classical art, wine, foods, to things that are mystical and of the finer kinds in life. Maybe antique cars or antique furniture. Someone who has extreme expert judgment about it, so someone who can actually judge and appraise it and value it. Those kind of people could be called connoisseurs. For instance, they comb the world in search of fine spirits. Spirits is alcohol of both advanced age and finite quantity, which they then bottle under the last drop name and sell to connoisseurs, meaning only the ones who really know their wines or alcohol will be able to appreciate the quality and the scarcity of it and pay the price for it. So it's talking about very, very specialist experts in a particular thing, a connoisseur. Again, relates mostly to finer things in life. That said, I hope you found this video useful, and I hope to see you use these words in everyday conversation as much as possible. If you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification to not miss videos from us. And of course, don't forget to check out your 30-day free trial by going to capshine.com or downloading the app from the Play Store. Thanks for watching.